Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the San Diego Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs in their Week 14 matchup played December 13th, 2015. We're going to go over every possession and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis for this AFC West division rivalry game as the Kansas City Chiefs look to continue their push towards the playoffs. And the Chargers looking to play spoilers against their division rival. San Diego would get the ball first, and they would go 3 and out on their first possession. The Chiefs then would take over, and after 9 plays, they would punt back to San Diego. So the Chargers would do the same as they would end up punting after 9 plays. But on the punt, he ended up with the Chiefs getting the ball as he ended up with a fumble, and it was recovered by Wint. So the fumble by Hammond, and then Wint recovers as Achu was there to force the fumble. So now San Diego would take over after the turnover. They had it right there and the Kansas City 26 as they were within field goal range, but they failed to pick up a first down, and so they would have to settle for a 42-yard field goal attempt by Josh Lambo, and it was no good. So the Chargers had a chance right there with that turnover as they were set up with prime field position, but they were unable to turn that turnover into points. And so now Kansas City would take over on their own 32 after the missed field goal. They would bring it into the first quarter, and the second play of the second quarter, Alex Smith was intercepted by Jason Ferret. Smith had thrown 312 passes without an interception. That's second all-time just to Tom Brady, who had 358 pass attempts without an interception. But Alex Smith has the franchise record, but he was picked off right there, and so now the Chargers would take over on their own 4-yard line, backed up against their own end zone. But after moving the ball up to midfield and into Kansas City territory, their drive would stall on the 42, and they would end up punting the ball back to the Chiefs. So again, the Chargers not able to turn a turnover into points, and now they would punt the ball to Kansas City, who would take over on their own 4-yard line. And they were backed up against their own end zone, but on 3rd and 3 from the 11, Shakandrick West picked up 6 yards and a first down at the 17. Then after Ware ended up running, Spencer Ware had a 20-yard run on first down to bring it up to 37 on 3rd and 3 from the 44. Alex Smith ran it for 6 yards to make it a first down at the 50. They would bring the game to the 2-minute warning, and then coming out of the 2-minute warning on 2nd and 4 from the San Diego 44, Alex Smith airs it out to Albert Wilson for the 44-yard touchdown. Cairo Santos kicked the extra point, and it was 7-0 Chiefs over the Chargers with less than 2 minutes left before halftime. So now the Chargers would take over on their own 20 after the touchback on the kickoff. They got up into Kansas City territory after a few plays, and on 3rd and 8 from the 45, Phillip Rivers was intercepted by Johnson. So Johnson with the interception, and now the Chiefs would take over on their own 39 with half a minute left before halftime. Alex Smith went to Jeremy Maclin. He picked up 21 yards and a first down at the San Diego 40. Then after an incomplete pass, and on 2nd and 10 from the 40, Smith scrambled for 18 yards, and that brought the ball to the 22. KC took a timeout, and Cairo Santos came out to kick a 40-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was 10-0 going into the half. So 10-0 KC in the first half as the Chiefs had shut out the Chargers to this point, and 2 turnovers did not result in points for San Diego as they were not able to capitalize on their opportunities. So now the Chiefs would get the ball first in the second half. They started off with it on their own 22 after the kickoff, and they would get up to the 30, 3rd and 2, and Alex Smith would end up running for 12 yards. Then a penalty for unnecessary roughness would make it a first down on the San Diego 43. Shakandrick West then ran for 15 yards to the San Diego 28. Then on 3rd and 10, you had a holding call, but there was a holding call on both teams, offense and defense. They'd replay the down. An incomplete pass would bring out Cairo Santos to attempt a 46-yard field goal, but it was no good. so it remained 10-0. So now the Chargers would take over after the missed field goal on their own 36. They would get down into KC territory. They got into the red zone, but their drive would stall on the 12, and out came Josh Lambo to attempt a 30-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and now it was 10-3 with about 6 minutes still left in the third. The Chargers would then end up punting after 5 plays on their next possession, and now San Diego would take over, and they would end up punting after 3 plays as they were held to a 3-and-out on this possession, and they punted back to the Chiefs. The Chiefs would bring the third quarter to a close with the score still 10-3, and Kansas City would open up the fourth quarter. Still in their own territory, they got up into San Diego territory, but then a penalty pushed them back into their own territory before they got back to San Diego territory and eventually would end up punting the ball from the San Diego 41 with about 11 minutes still left to play. So now San Diego would take over on their own 20, down by 7, but they would end up with a sack as Ford sacked Rivers on third down after they had picked up a first down earlier in the possession, and they would end up having to punt after 4 plays on this possession. And so now Kansas City would take over on their own 38 with 9.5 left to play. They ate up 4.5 minutes of clock, but end up punting from the San Diego 38. So instead of going for a long field goal, as it would have been a 55-yarder, they ended up going for the punt, and so they punted the ball to the Chargers with 5 minutes left to play. So now San Diego would take over on their own 11 after the punt. They started to move down the field, although Rivers was sacked on second down by Howard, and that would set up a 3rd and 14. Rivers then went to Floyd. Malcolm Floyd picked up 41 yards, and that brought the ball to midfield to the San Diego 48, but then Ford sacked Rivers, and so now that would bring the game to the 2-minute warning. 2 sacks on this possession. Then after a 2nd and 15, picked up 3 yards of the pass to Floyd. Now they're faced with a 3rd and 12. Rivers then went to Antonio Gates. He picked up 9, but it was 3 yards shy of the first down. So it's 4th and 3 at the KC 45. Both teams had taken a timeout, and the Chargers would end up going for it, down by 7 with just over a minute still left to play in this game. And on 4th and 3, Phillip Rivers went to Herndon. He picked up 6 yards in the first down at the KC 39. 3 incomplete passes would bring up 4th and 10 then from the 39 with less than 45 seconds left to play, and they were forced to go for it again, down by 7, and Phillip Rivers found Antonio Gates, his favorite target. He picked up 16 yards and a first down as the Chargers burned their final timeout and now had a first down at the KC 23. So then 3 more incomplete passes, and the Chiefs would take their second timeout, and so now it's 4th and 10 with just 15 seconds left in this game, and the ball at the KC 23. Phillip Rivers then went to Brown. He picked up 22 yards and a first down at the 1-yard line. So on 4th down, they convert once again on another 4th down. Now it was 1st and goal on the 1, but offsides on the defense, so it's half the distance to the goal, so on the half-yard line, and it was 1st and goal, but then a delay of game penalty, and that would move the Chargers back to the 6-yard line, and an incomplete pass on 1st and goal, and then on 2nd and goal, another incomplete pass, but a false start against the Chargers would push them back to the Kansas City 11. So 2nd and goal on the 11 with just seconds on the clock, and one last chance. Phillip Rivers goes to Danny Woodhead in the end zone. It hits him in the hands, but he can't hold on to it as Ford was there to break it up. And this game comes to a close in dramatic fashion as the Chiefs hold on to win this one on the final play of the game. Final score 10-3. Kansas City 8-5 on the season as they're right there in the thick of things in that wild card race. As the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Steelers are all at 8-5. If it were to end today, the Chiefs would be in with the tiebreakers. But they're 4-2 at home on the season. The Chargers 1-5 on the road, 3-10 on the year. So low-scoring game, but Kansas City comes away with it. They did what they had to do to win a tough game against a division rival. It's always tough to beat a team twice, but they were able to do it. Here's they sweep the season series against San Diego. And Alex Smith, 15 for 23, 191 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also had 5 carries for 40 yards in this game. Shikander West was the leading rusher with 10 carries for 54 yards. Spencer Ware had 8 carries for 52 yards in this game. Albert Wilson had 4 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. Jeremy Macklin, 6 receptions for 68 yards. And for the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, 24 for 43, 263 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And the rookie Melvin Gordon had 14 carries for 35 rushing yards. Antonio Gates had 6 receptions for 76 yards. Malcolm Floyd, 3 receptions for 56 yards. And Herndon, 5 receptions for 47 yards. Gordon also had 4 receptions for 28 yards, which gave him a total of 63 yards on the game. Then we look at the kickers in this game. Cairo Santos, 1 for 2 on the field goals, 1 for 1 on the extra points. Josh Lambo, 1 for 2 on the field goals, did not attempt an extra point. And on defense, for Kansas City, the Chiefs were really putting the pressure on Phillip Rivers, as D. Ford had 3 sacks in this game. Parker had a sack, and of course Howard had a sack as well. And Johnson had an interception. And for the Chargers, Jason Verrett with that pick to end Alex Smith's streak, and Achu and Ingram each had sacks. Let me look at the team stats. 18 first downs for the Chargers, or 18 first downs for the Chiefs, 15 for the Chargers. And on third down, both teams converted 6. Of course, the Chiefs 6 for 11, 54%, and the Chargers 6 for 18, 33% converted. The Chargers did convert 4 first downs, as they were 3 for 3 on fourth down. Total net yards 329 for the Chiefs, 280 for the Chargers. Net rushing yards, Kansas City had almost more than 3 times as many, as they had 150 rushing yards netted to just 44 for San Diego. And through the air, the Chargers netted 236. Phillip Rivers was sacked 5 times, losing 27 yards. And Kansas City netted 179, as Alex Smith was sacked twice, losing a total of 12 yards in this game. Let me look at the penalties in this game. 8 against Kansas City, 7 against San Diego. 53 penalty yards for the Chiefs, 48 penalty yards for the Chargers. The Chiefs had 2 fumbles in this game. They recovered 1 and they lost 1. Let me look at the red zone in this game. No red zone touchdowns. So there was only 1 touchdown in this game. Of course, that touchdown to Albert Wilson, as he scored on that 44-yard touchdown. That was the only touchdown of the game. But the Chiefs didn't even make any trips to the red zone. The Chargers made 2 trips to the red zone and did not come away with any points. Well, they had the 1 field goal, but we look at the time of possession. 31 minutes and 8 seconds for San Diego, 28 minutes and 52 seconds for Kansas City. So the Chiefs find a way to win. They did it mainly with defense. So they didn't put up a lot of points in this game, but they definitely came up huge on the defensive side of the ball, as they were shutting down the Chargers. Of course, the Chargers are pretty banged up and having a rough year, but even they did get back some of their weapons for this game, but not enough, as the Chiefs were able to get it done again. It was their defense that's been carrying them, but their offense did put up enough points, as they didn't need to put up many. But the Chiefs' defense is really terrorizing Phillip Rivers, as they were getting after him with those 5 sacks, also the interception as well. But they came up big time, and they're right there in the mix of things as they continue to win games. They've won 7 in a row now, as they were 1-5, and now they're 8-5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the final 3 weeks of this season. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a great weekend and enjoying all the sports.